Snow problem. Winter weather returns to Iowa City in snowy fashion.
A decades-long case shocks Iowa City.
The University of Iowa gives a family a life-changing treatment.
Women's wrestling bonds away from the mat.
All that and more
Coming up right now on DITV.
Good morning from Iowa City. It is Wednesday, February 12th. I'm Julia Rhodes.
And I'm Kayla Smith.
And the third member of our team, Ryan Lynch, is live at the Adler Sky Bridge.
Ryan, the snow seems to be coming down pretty heavy behind you, but is that going to carry on for the rest of the week?
Yes, the snow is coming down behind me, as you can see, as I'm here live at the Sky Bridge by Adler, and it's only about around 17 degrees outside, so it is pretty chilly. And the snow started earlier this morning and will likely continue throughout the day. And a winter storm warning is active through tomorrow morning with about up to 8 inches of snow expected. And some classes at the university have already gotten canceled or moved online to Zoom, and the same goes for some campus activities as well. And there's still yet to be any announcement for any university-wide cancellations. Back to you guys in the studio.
And for our top story, we have some breaking news reported first by the Daily Iowan. On Tuesday, the Iowa Supreme Court heard oral arguments for a case alleging that a UIHC department chair inseminated patients using his own sperm. Dr. John H. Randall, who passed in 1959, served as the head of the UI OBGYN department until 1952. Randall's alleged actions were discovered after relatives of his patients found shared DNA through Ancestry.com. This is a developing story, and more reports will be coming in as the Iowa Supreme Court determines whether or not the case goes to trial.
2 sexual assaults on the University of Iowa campus were reported in the span of 1 week. The first was Tuesday, February 4th in an East Side residence hall. The most recent was early Sunday morning at the field house. Both assaults were reported as fondlings to university officials. The university said on both cases that no further information is available at this time.
A man has pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter and vehicular homicide. Keyshawn Ford and Elijah Seals are charged with killing 22-year-old Jennifer Russell while drag racing in Iowa City in 2023. Elijah Seals was sentenced in December and will serve 3 years probation. Ford accepted the plea deal and will be sentenced on May 19th in Johnson County Courthouse.
The University of Iowa hospitals and clinics experienced a first this month. DITV's Grace Lathrop has the story on this incredible advancement.
When 8-month-old Wesley Peterson arrived, doctors were faced with a difficult situation. Wesley was diagnosed with polyarteritis nodosa, otherwise known as PAN, which is a rare inflammatory disease affecting the arteries throughout the body. This was the first time the hospital performed a heart transplant on an infant with PAN.
His vessels were weak and thin, so even in transplant itself, Dr. Nakamura, the surgeon, really had to take his time making the anastomosis, putting those vessels together.
Wesley was in dire need of a heart transplant. Parents Julia and Spencer were expecting to wait months for a heart for baby Wesley, but were met with an unexpected surprise.
We heard about the heart for Wesley earlier than we had expected, and so I think we were very surprised but very happy that was happening. I know it was very long surgery. The team worked very hard and obviously had great results.
During his time at the hospital and despite his procedure, Wesley greeted staff and doctors with a smile on his face.
He was a pleasure, and his parents, I will say, were just a pleasure to work with. This is the epitome of why we do what we do.
Wesley's heart transplant was a success, and although he will receive follow-up care for the rest of his life, his future sees no restrictions. From the University of Iowa, Grace Lathrop, DITV.
Julia, it's really great to just hear that story and hear about some of that good news happening in the world right now.
Absolutely. It's so uplifting to hear. And the last few weeks have also had an unprecedented level of executive orders. We'll send it now in the newsroom to DITV's Hannah Lipsky with a full rundown on what these orders mean, as well as several other updates on politics around the country.
Yeah, that's right, ladies. These headlines coming from the White House can be overwhelming and confusing, and there's been a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding with all these executive orders coming out of the Oval Office. Now, I'm going to break down what an executive order is and how one goes into place. Article 2 of the Constitution gives the president executive power over the federal government, meaning an executive order is a written proposal by the president that orders the government to take specific actions to ensure, quote, the laws be faithfully executed. They can tell the government agencies what to do or declare a new public priority, but executive orders cannot override federal laws, statutes, or the Constitution. They also cannot create a new law, but they can tell federal agencies what they want implemented. In short, the president cannot get around the checks and balances or take power from other branches of government. Meanwhile, here in Iowa, new laws are set to take effect today. Iowa businesses that violate child labor laws will now face lesser penalties. A new legislative committee met Monday to discuss these changes. This new state rule makes it so businesses that keep children at work for too long or too late will now face a $2,500 penalty for each violation. Now, this is down from a $10,000 violation under the former law. And Governor Kim Reynolds has established a Department of Government Efficiency here in Iowa. Also known as DOGE, the department is a continuation of Elon Musk's effort at the national level. The main goals of the department here in Iowa will include lowering government costs, maximizing on taxpayer investments, and recommending task force training programs. The task force will be made of 15 to 20 business leaders and will have 180 days to submit their first recommendations. A battle for a new budget is underway in Washington, D.C. as Congress takes their stances ahead of the new deadline. DITV News Director Johnny Valtman has what both sides want and how they plan on achieving it.
In light of recent actions by the Trump administration, Democrats on the Hill are prepared to take partisan lines to avoid a new spending budget from being passed.
Democrats do not want to shut the government down, but the Republicans are in charge.
Democrats point to Elon Musk's DOGE agency, recent closures of government agencies, and the president's actions being blocked in federal courts. Despite the stance, top Republicans are hoping that Democrats will help them out.
He and his committee can move forward on this process and put us in a position where we are able to execute on the floor.
Republicans want to push a budget which allows for more money to go towards the administration's initiatives, including securing the southern border and unlocking the U.S.'s energy dominance.
They think that they're going to do that with a Democratic vote. I've got a bridge to sell them.
While Republicans hold a majority in both the House and Senate, they are looking to reach across the aisle for bipartisan support.
One big, beautiful bill passed by the House that did all the things we need to do to make us prosperous and safe.
The deadline to pass a new budget or spending package is March 14th. If Congress can't get that done, the government will shut down. From the University of Iowa, Johnny Valtman, DITV.
Sweet.
National and state politics for now, so I'm going to send it back to the studio where they have an update on the local level.
Thanks, Hannah. A lot of changes taking place across the country, but here in Iowa City, a special election is underway.
And we have DITV's Isabel Thier live at the Rotunda with how community members can get involved before Election Day.
Thanks, guys. The Iowa City Council District C seat is open for election. The mail-in ballots or early voting are two ways that voters can get ahead of the game. Andrew Dunn resigned from one of the 6 seats in the Iowa City Council, leaving 1 seat for District C left to fill. After the primary for District C seat on February 4th, the 2 remaining candidates are Russ Nusser and Oliver Whelan. The winner of the special election will serve the remainder of the 4-year term through 2027. Only the voters in precincts 3 through 5, 11, 19 through 22, and 25 are eligible to vote in the primary, but all registered voters can vote on March 4th. You can register to vote online or at the Johnson County Auditor Office. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
The University of Iowa's campus program has made plans for how to spend their $16.4 million federal grant. DITV's Ryan Paris has the story.
In July of 2024, the Federal Transit Administration announced it was giving almost $1.5 billion to companies across the country to support its low and no emissions program. The program encourages businesses to move toward lower emission transportation policies by giving them money to buy new buses and build and renovate facilities to support them. At Iowa, CAN Bus will use the money to expand their central maintenance facility, renovate it, and buy 6 new battery-powered electric buses.
We expect to use all of that money, as the project costs a lot more than $16.4 million. If we do have money left over, we aren't able to use that for other projects. We would actually have to give it back.
The project will also benefit CAN Bus drivers. Since every driver is also a student, expanding the facility will centralize all aspects of the job closer to campus, including the training process for new drivers.
The training that we have to do is split into kind of 2 sections. There's classroom stuff that they have to do, videos and quizzes and stuff of that nature, and there's driving stuff, and those take place in 2 different locations.
CAN buses are always in high demand, especially during the winter months, as freezing temperatures cause students to use the buses as their main method of moving around campus.
We know that a lot of our ridership is students moving among the residence halls and class. In fact, we've recently looked at some data and saw that we're transporting about 6,500 people a day across the Burlington Street Bridge.
And since the buses run all day, newer low-emission buses will help lessen the environmental toll. CAN Bus expects to break ground on the new facility next fall and be up and running by the fall of 2026. And as for the buses, they should arrive by the fall of 2027. From the CAN Bus barn, Ryan Paris, DITV.
There are plenty of interesting places to explore in downtown Iowa City. DITV's James McCurtis explored one business offering an alternative nightlife.
Iowa City is known for its bustling bar culture, but that's far from all the entertainment it has to offer. Critical Hit Games may be a card shop, but it's a thriving communal space as well.
Oh, it's for the community. The shop was started in 2005 by Jared Leopold. He didn't want it to just be a place where you walked in and bought a thing and left. He wanted it to be a place where you met people, you sat down, you enjoyed a game, you stayed for a while, whether you bought stuff or not. And we've continued that tradition here.
It's for all ages and interest levels as well.
And we want to be just as friendly for a bunch of 40-year-old game players as we do a parent with a 10-year-old kid.
The card shop aims to be an alternative to the traditional bar scene. It offers a plethora of board and card games and even a retro arcade.
I enjoy coming to Critical Hit because I don't think there's a place that just has like a better community of people for anybody interested in card games, board games. I don't think there's anywhere better to be downtown.
The shop isn't just a place to buy cards, but a space where people can be amongst friends.
It's a great community space, so even though you're playing a competitive game, people are connecting with each other. Chance makes a really nice environment for us all to spend time together.
Just hanging out with, meeting new people and hanging out with old friends. It's great.
When it comes to extracurriculars, Iowa City has more than a few cards up its sleeve. James McCurtis, DITV.
And coming up later, a special dog looks to leave his bark on the world.
Plus, the week ahead in weather and what to expect with Hawkeye Athletics.
All that and more after the break.
In Iowa City, history is being made every day. DITV is capturing it all. The future of our nation.
I'm here at Big Grove Brewery, where the Johnson County Democratic Party is hosting
at a polling
one
location in Waukesha, Wisconsin, which has been an influential county.
I'm here at Dean Lamar Allen Elementary School in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're a few hours
Historic careers.
Despite the slow start, the Hawkeyes still managed to get their first win of the season.
Night on the West Coast for the Iowa Hawkeyes, not just because of the loss to UCLA. Iowa, defensively, they played a full 4 quarters, but offensively, one man continues to put up.
Student experiences.
I'm at the Ped Mall in downtown Iowa City, the center for nightlife. And bars have been
here at the Ped Mall, where Iowa City residents come downtown to celebrate a beloved
here at the Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, where volunteers are working round the clock to get these animals adopted.
Politics, sports, and art. Local, state, and nationwide. In front of the camera, behind the scenes, DITV.
DITV.
DITV. DITV. DITV.
DITV Sports.
DITV.
DITV.
Is capturing history.
Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in on thedailyiowan.com or listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.
Now let's take a look back at the Sky Bridge with Ryan for today's forecast.
Yes, guys, the snow is still coming down, and the temperature right now is still at around that 17-degree mark. And it is expected to only warm up to about 20 degrees today as the snow does continue to fall. Tomorrow we'll see a break from the snowfall, but the temperatures will be around a flurrious 13 degrees. The sun may also make a reappearance tomorrow, but could flake on Friday. And there is potential that we see the snow strike back later in the week, which I'll have more later in weather. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Ryan. I know this weather makes me want to wrap up in a blanket.
I know, I'm so ready to get home, get under my blanket, and watch some Hawkeye sports. So it's a good thing that we have Elise Gann here, who's going to give us the full rundown on Hawkeye athletics.
Thanks, guys. The Iowa women's wrestling team has been dominant in competition all year long. DITV's Colin Carruthers shares how the relationships between some members have impacted their performance.
The Iowa women's wrestling team has capped off yet another undefeated year before heading into postseason play. These wrestlers are some of the best and most talented in the entire country, but a few of them also gather off the mat to grow in their own unique way.
So our Bible study, basically, so we go over to their house after church, and usually the previous week we'll talk about things, whether we're struggling with, or maybe that we want to, talk about the next week. And
Reese Laramendi had formulated this idea for a little while and was one of the ringleaders to get this Bible study kicked off.
And then I brought it up to the girls, and they jumped on it. They were like, of course, I think it kind of seemed like we were all waiting for someone to do this. I want us to apply it. I was like, whatever we're learning in church, let's talk about how we can apply this to our life.
After a select few have committed to meeting weekly, there's been a recognizable impact on these athletes.
Yeah, I think being able to lean on each other, we do something, every week, and it's very intimate, we share our stories, we share our struggles, and that's not easy to do. I think that we have just bonded so much. It's like a sisterhood between us now, and that's something that I have longed for.
However, the Bible study has also helped them and their mindsets in matches.
Taking the mat with God, knowing that whether I win or lose, it's in His will, and I'm okay with that.
And while only so many members are a part of the Bible study, everyone gathers together before competitions for prayer, so they may fully connect as a team. For the Goshke Family Wrestling Training Center, Colin Carruthers, DITV Sports.
The Iowa women's basketball team took revenge against the Nebraska Cornhuskers in their second matchup of the season. The Hawkeyes hosted the Cornhuskers only a few weeks ago, losing in a dramatic finish in overtime to give them their fourth loss in a row. Now Iowa has turned things around and is on a hot streak, defeating Nebraska Monday night in a not-so-close race, 81-66.
They've worked so hard and they kept believing, but that doesn't guarantee you always things. And so now that they've got a few in a row, man, the locker room, are just so happy.
Lucy Olson stole the show, dropping a tying career-high 32 points, while Taylor McCabe racked up 17 and Sydney Folter ended with 13.
I think a lot of things are just clicking. We're all getting used to playing with each other. I'm getting used to the physicality of the Big Ten. I also think I noticed that I don't have many games left, so got to give it all that I have.
The Hawkeyes drained 12 threes, the most they've had in any game this season, and now sit in 10th in the Big Ten Conference. Iowa will look to continue their streak as they host Rutgers tomorrow evening. The Iowa men's basketball team will also take on Rutgers, but instead they'll be on the road to face them tonight. Following up a loss to Wisconsin, the Hawkeyes now sit around the cut line that could see them on the outside of the Big Ten tournament with another loss. Rutgers is also right around them in the conference standings, as they have just one more win in Big Ten play. The Scarlet Knights are led by freshman duo Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, who are both 4th and 5th in scoring in the conference, and are two guys head coach Fran McCaffrey are impressed with and knows some of his players will need to step up, especially with the recent injuries.
They really understand how to play. They understand how to get open. They know how to make plays for other people. It's going to require guys to step up and perhaps maybe a more advanced role than they had before.
Iowa leads the all-time series with Rutgers 13-3, and the 17th all-time meeting will be available on the Big Ten Network at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. That's all I have this week in Hawkeye sports. Now I'll send it back out to Ryan for more weather updates.
Yes, Elise, and the weather should be below freezing looking ahead into the week, with the potential for some sequential snow later. And Friday should have a high of around 21 degrees, with Saturday having temperatures at about 31 degrees. Both days are expected to deliver some more snow to Iowa City. The start of the weekend could be considered a heat wave compared to where temperatures may be headed. Sunday will see some lower temperatures as well, with that trend continuing down, and Monday should see a high of about 16 degrees with a low of -5. Tuesday is expected to be even colder, so we've got a lot of cold temperatures ahead, and I'll send it back to the studio.
Thank you for joining us online or listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.
We are here live from Iowa City every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. and online anytime at dailyiowan.com.
For Ryan Lynch and Hannah Lipsky, I'm Julia Rhodes.
And for Elise Gann and Elizabeth Beer, I'm Kayla Smith.
See you again on Friday morning right here on DITV.